When filling up your water bucket, always be sure to use cold water and only fill the bucket halfway to prevent spilling and splashing when you're washing your brush. When using tempera cakes, it's important to tickle the paint for 15 seconds to make your color creamy and bright. When you're ready to switch to a different color, be sure to put your brush all the way in until you feel the bottom of the water bucket and tickle it until all of the color rinses out. And make sure your brush is clean before going into your next color. If you would like to mix colors, be sure to do so on your paper. So you must wash your brush off by tickling the bottom of the water bucket to wiggle out all of the first color. Then you can go into your second color. Make sure to tickle it for 15 seconds so that it gets nice and creamy and bright. And then you can mix right on your paper by painting right on top of the color that you would like to mix it into and creating your new color. If you are painting along the edge of your paper, you always want to be sure to use a placemat. A placemat will help keep your table clean and reduce the amount of cleanup that you have at the end of art. That way you can paint right onto the placemat without any worry, and then your table beneath it stays clean. If you encounter a color that is dirty, simply take a wet, clean brush and tickle that color, going back and forth between the water bucket and the color until it becomes clean and ready to use again. Whenever you're painting with tempera paints, it's important that you use the brush properly. The proper way to use a paintbrush is to tickle the paint gently. The brush should always be pointy and smooth. When you're painting, this is also true. You should drag the brush along with the bristles facing away from your hand so that the paintbrush stays pointy and smooth. You never want to push straight down on your brush and paint like this because it forces the bristles apart and gives you an irregular line. You also never want to paint with a scrubbing motion, which also forces the bristles apart and will eventually ruin the paintbrush. When painting in a large area, you always want to make sure to have your brush well loaded with paint, keeping the brush bristles facing away from your hand, and paint with a side-to-side motion, reloading your brush as often as you need to keep it wet with paint. The best way to wash is to get 2 pumps of soap on the palm of your hand. Take your the brushes, swirl them around into the palm of your hand until some of the paint starts to wiggle its way out, and then turn the water on gently and do that same motion underneath the running faucet. And that will help gently remove all of the paint that's inside. The last step in washing brushes is just to take and make sure that the metal part of the brushes are also clean. Then, they're of course stored with the bristles facing up in the cup. When loading the drying rack, you always load it from the bottom up so that you can move the shelves in order to make space for the paper above yours. If sponges are not available for cleaning, a damp paper towel can be used. All you do is get it a little bit wet so that it's not dripping everywhere, just a little bit of water. And then you can use this to wipe the table off just as you would a sponge. If you would like to continue painting during art class, these expectations need to be followed. Everyone should be responsible for doing their part. If they finish early, they can help a friend or another table finish their cleanup. Thank you for listening, and I hope we can continue to paint together this year.